Logitech just announced their new Astro A50 Gen 5 headset at Logiplay. Go to logi.gg/Datto to learn more about it and to get a discount on Logitech stuff with code Datto10 at checkout. A lot of exotic weapons got adjusted in the Episode 2 patch 8.1.0, so welcome to the Episode 2 Exotic Weapon Vibe Check, where we take a look at all those things that happened and see what actually happened. Choir of One got some nerfs, although technically they were more like fixes. Last episode, Bungie said that Choir of One was coming in with too much ammo and that a fix was coming, so I don't technically consider the ammo stuff a nerf. The impact damage got a small nerf, but this weapon overall is still a fantastic choice in pretty much all modes of play. The burst damage is still strong. It's used as a backup form of boss DPS when combined with something like an edge transit for proccing bait and switch, although don't sleep on the precision damage either, as it performs quite well. The only thing that really got adjusted was the ammo, so you can't spam it as much as you could pre-patch. Otherwise, this is still a really good weapon. It's still used in high-end loadouts, high-end content, lots of solo stuff. It's still worth keeping around and using. Huckleberry had its catalyst effect baked into the weapon, where kills fully refill the magazine, and the catalyst is now kinetic tremors. I've never been super amped on kinetic tremors as a perk ever since it came out. I'm not sure how important it really is overall for the state of kinetic weapons. Now, going from nothing to kinetic tremors is a nice boost, but that being said, Huckleberry is still functionally the same as it was. Huckleberry has been a fantastic weapon for a few years now. It's just been in the game so long that people just are tired of it, or like it's old, whatever. In addition to new primary weapons having subclass effects and the value of just pure workhorse weapons not being as important as they used to be thanks to a revised sandbox. Builds nowadays revolve around proccing this and that to do the bulk of your killing or your gameplay in general, whereas in the past your primary weapon was doing the bulk of killing trash mobs. But if you're looking for a purely gun-based setup, Huckleberry still puts in a massive amount of work, especially because it uses the old version of Rampage, which has a much higher damage bonus than the current version of Rampage. Titans, I know what you're thinking, hold on a sec. Tarrabah also received a buff, where it has turned into a light version of Risk Runner, but for solar. When Ravenous Beast is active, you get solar damage resistance. Now, Ravenous Beast isn't exactly active all of the time, and its use is mainly against stronger targets. You charge it up, you trigger Ravenous Beast on a big target, and then you use it to slay out. While I'm sure there will be some situations where having this solar resistance will be helpful, I think it's maybe a bit too sporadic to be the reason as to why you use the weapon, at least compared to something like Risk Runner, where yes, the chain damage is nice, but you have a constant source of defense and offense at the same time. Now, Huckleberry and Tarrabah are still incredibly strong weapons, and the reason you should consider running them if you're interested in a more gun-based setup is because of Peacekeepers, which are Titan exotic boots. Those got a complete rework where each shot of any SMG will increase its damage for 1 second up to a cap of 100% bonus damage. This is essentially a super strong version of Target Lock designed to increase your damage over the course of one magazine's worth of shooting. However, two things. Number one, Huckleberry can technically shoot forever, allowing you to maintain not only old Rampage ×3, but also this damage boost from Peacekeepers. And two, Ravenous Beast also increases your damage when activated. So, either one of these SMGs can result in absurdly high primary damage output, with Huckleberry going crazy on trash mobs, while Tarrabah is more for annihilating higher health targets. It is definitely worth trying out at least one time, even if the build is just do a lot of SMG damage. Symmetry, my favorite exotic that I don't use, got a buff. You gain stacks of dynamic charge on kills in addition to precision hits. I really like the alternate fire version of this weapon, but it simply takes too long to stack it to its maximum of 20, in addition to it being a scout rifle. Adding in kills into the weapon, I think, does very little to motivate me to want to use this weapon, and really the only thing that would is making progress to the revolution rounds at max stacks even faster, or making the revolution rounds so good that it's worth stacking all the way. I think either kills should be worth more, or precision kills worth more, potentially even more than kills in addition to crits. Maybe that's a bit too much uptime, I don't know, but as of now, this is a nice but not enough buff. Revolution rounds are also not even as good as I remember them being, so maybe they just weren't even that great in the first place, I don't know. Duality, rarely used outside of PvP, now only takes 3 stacks of on black wings to be at the maximum, and the buff duration is now 10 seconds, up from 7. Although, there's no timer on the buff, so can't really tell how long I got on the buff if I'm not counting along. Shooting hipfire is pellet spread, which is what gives on black wings, and then aim down sights shots are slug shots, which will extend the duration of this buff. This is a nice buff to the weapon to keep its uptime a bit higher, and you can get to the maximum a lot faster, but I don't think this is going to push the needle for people pretty much in the slightest for using this weapon in PvE. If you weren't already using this weapon, I don't think this buff is going to change your mind. Hip firing a bunch of weaker enemies to then finally do some bigger chunk damage to a bigger target is just generally not a great use of special ammo, and you will rip through your ammo quite quickly trying to do this. Lumina got more of an adjustment to be more like support auto rifle healing shots when you hip fire. I don't really have too much to say about that, so we're just going to move on. Bad Juju got 2 somewhat significant buffs. String of Curses is now 5.5 seconds, up from 3.5, although the Catalyst gives you another 2 seconds on top of that, and also had its hidden bonus internal cooldown dramatically reduced. Pre-patch, Bad Juju had a secret explosion on kill type effect that would only trigger after like 100 kills or something like that, something really high, which made it impossible to rely on at all. Now it's after only a small handful of kills, to where the internal cooldown is probably more time-based than it is kill-based. When the AoE explosion hits, it hits really hard, but I've found the radius to be pretty small, so enemies do need to be kind of tightly compacted to really feel the effects of it. Bad Juju is another one of those guns that's always been kind of good, maybe not as good as something like Huckleberry, but just not maybe quite good enough to completely justify using. Also, like Huckleberry, kinetic primaries fell out of favor for a long time in favor of subclass effects. But early in the episode, I know people were thinking of combining Bad Juju with Skull of Daira Hamkara to generate insanely fast Nova Bombs, since Skull was also buffed to give more super energy on kill when you have Devour active. And spoilers, you basically always have Devour active on a Void Warlock, or even Prismatic, really. And I can confirm that these Nova Bombs regenerate insanely quickly with this setup. Nothing otherwise about the performance of Bad Juju has changed. It's just easier to maintain String of Curses, which is a very nice overall boost to the weapon's output, since String of Curses is a pretty substantial damage boost, topping out at 100% at maximum stacks. Diris is that Hive Knight weapon from Season of the Witch. Back then, I reviewed this weapon in combination with the Mothkeeper's Wraps Hunter exotic gloves, and besides it being a novelty, it didn't have that much else going for it in terms of strength of build. Diris received a lot of buffs to make the weapon easier to use, generate more moths, increase damage, gave it more ammo, but was all that enough to get me to use it outside of that novelty hunter build? Maybe a little bit. Now, I don't want to undersell the buffs that it got, because this thing do be making a lot more moths now, and they spawn on hits. You can have near constant blinding moths flying all over the place, blinding enemies nonstop, not to mention near constant overshield for yourself, and overshields also got buffed in this patch. Also, you can get this to work with Stylish Executioner, since basically all targets will be blinded all of the time. This footage isn't even with the catalyst either, which is going to amplify you and it's going to give you a couple of other things. In terms of it being a competitive option, I still think there are a lot of very efficient exotics out there compared to this, but with these buffs, I don't think I would be questioning the choice of using this weapon given what it's now capable of. The only thing I wish was that the blue moths activated a little bit faster. They're still a bit slow on the draw, and even if this thing does get a lot of shots, you still gotta watch your ammo a bit, especially if you're using it like I'm using it in this footage. Fighting Lion now spawns a volatile burst on direct hits. I've never been much of a Fighting Lion enjoyer. I know it has a dedicated fan base. Much like some previous weapons, though, I don't think this buff is going to be the thing that all of a sudden makes Fighting Lion explode in popularity. This buff brought it into the build crafting world a little bit more than where it used to be, which was essentially 0 or not really that much. That being said, I'm not the hugest volatile fan, or I guess rather, I'm just not into applying volatile in this way. Volatile rounds? Sure. Volatile on a grenade? Okay. Volatile on this? Kind of middle of the road. Fighting Lion in general? Kind of middle of the road. Prospector got a rework where it now has cluster bombs. Each grenade shot will explode into 3 smaller clusters, each doing a fair bit of damage. It also has chain reaction built in. Defeating targets creates arc explosions. As far as a premier boss damage weapon goes, I don't think this breaks into the top tier because other weapons can do what it does and more because they can get damage perks. If that's all you wanted to know, then there you go. In a strict head-to-head matchup, I would say stick with your legendary grenade launchers, even with the cluster bomb bonus damage. It's very rare for all of the cluster bombs to hit a single target. Now, there is a combo with this grenade launcher with Facet of Command on Warlocks where you throw a Bleak Watcher, transcend, throw a grenade, and let this thing rip, because the freeze will auto-reload the grenade launcher when combined with all of those things. And to be fair, this is really good, but it's a very specific setup. Otherwise, I don't think Prospector is going to be seen in many other spots in the game. This grenade launcher is built a little bit more for doing AoE damage, extra explosions, things like that. And it does succeed in doing that to a degree, but am I looking to invest my entire exotic slot into that? Not really. Finally, Chaperone, much like Duality, got some adjustments to its ability to be actually more usable in PvE, swapping out precision kills for precision kills or hits, extending the duration of the buff, more ammo, more stability. And much like Duality, this is such a specific kind of weapon that unless you are already using it, these buffs aren't going to push the needle for most people. At base, you need to enjoy using slug shotguns, regardless of how much this was buffed, and you need to check the opportunity cost of using Chaperone versus any other exotic. This isn't really an exotic I'm taking super seriously or bringing into serious content. This is more of a for fun type of weapon that Bungie happened to make a bit easier to use. Now, don't get me wrong, Chaperone, still a really fun weapon. It's super snappy, it's really fun to shoot, but much like Duality, the fun runs out far too quickly if I'm trying to use this thing for a while. I appreciate the attention that it's gotten here. I don't think it's really going to push the needle for most people. I think those are all the exotics. Let me know if you've been playing with anything buffed this past episode. Peacekeeper Titans, I'm looking at y'all. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.